November 6, 1915, a day which will live in infamy. On this date, a group of individuals in Marysville, California incorporated Clampus Vitus for the first time in California history. Since then, ECV has faded away, was revived in the 1930s, and has had a continuous existence to the present day. If you're curious about that history, there are a few books out there like this one. This video is to celebrate the Centennial by documenting ECV today in 2015. From July through October 2015, I traveled far and wide through Clamperdom to interview the men of ECV. Please forgive the sound quality. These interviews were done on the fly with only a smartphone.
Look at where we are right now. We're in an area that we've never been before. I've never been before. And it allows me to travel and see parts of the state of California that I honestly wouldn't otherwise probably see. And with each event, now the Howl is a little different. They don't do a plaque dedication, but typically there'll be a plaque dedication, and we'll learn, well, no exception on this one. We learned some great history yesterday on the tour, things that I didn't know before, and parts of California history oftentimes that gets forgotten.
When you think of Indian Wars, most people think about what's going on the Great Plains, fighting the Sioux, fighting the Lakotas, fighting the Cheyennes and the Arapahoes, General Custer, all that kind of thing. And you don't really think about Indian War stuff happening too much out here in California. How much fighting there was up here in the Owens Valley, in the starting about 1862.
This kind of a neat place out here. This a lot of maybe mystery is the wrong word, but no real certainty as to why this airfield is here. It was built about 1941. It has absolutely no connection with Manzanar across the way.
Manzanar State Park is north of Lone Pine, California. We swung by there to get as part of our history tour in the Howling in 2015. Well, it was very interesting history, pieces of history we need to know. It was a very depressing place. I was amazed at the amount of effort and artistry you can find left behind in the monuments. And I believe as a part of history that our younger generation of clampers might not have known.
The clampers will remember, and I think that's incredibly important to tell the story of this state and the diversity of this state.
For example, how many people know that we used to have an emperor, not only of California, but of the United States, and he was a protectorate of Mexico? Here is a current iteration of Emperor Norton to tell you that story.
Emperor Norton, born in England, 1819, emigrated through Cape Town, Algoa Bay, near Cape Town, South Africa, with his father, and they established a chandlery down there. And then he took off when he was in his early 20s and sailed to San Francisco. Getting to San Francisco in the 1849 tumult of all of the people coming to the city. And he did very well. He did not go up into the gold rush country. Instead, he was an entrepreneur and converted his small fortune into a very large fortune, said to be over $200,000. And he was doing very well in real estate and speculation. So he put money out for tons of rice to undercut the market, knowing that there was a tremendous need for the miners to have rice, and not knowing that one of the purveyors of rice knew that there were 2 shiploads coming into San Francisco. This undercut the poor emperor, and he lost his entire fortune literally overnight when it bottomed out, his whole holdings. So he disappeared for a period of time, came back to San Francisco, and established himself in the offices of the Bulletin of the time, declaring himself the Emperor of the United States. And in his military garb, with epaulets, feathers in his hats, it must have been a slow day in the press when they printed this. Immediately he was a sensation in San Francisco, and he stood up for the underprivileged. He stood up for the Chinese. He stood up for everybody, including women. And he was a very, very fine man, and they never had anybody quite like that. He didn't have any money, but he was said to be a little on the crazy side, yet he made many proclamations, including the abolishment of both houses of Congress. Maybe not a bad plan to do today, but he did many things in San Francisco. He knew that the police were corrupt. He had this demanded that the streets get cleaned, and he did bring the city up in a very positive way. So so much so that people were coming across from different parts of the United States to come to San Francisco to see the emperor, who walked with his walking stick through the city, and he was revered by all people. Had no money, as we said. He created his own money, and it was on a promissory note with 6% interest, which he never collected because he had spent this money, and it was even printed for him freely. And if you could find one of these 50-cent notes today, it'd be worth about $18,000. When he finally and ultimately, unfortunately, died on California Street, January the 8th of 1880, the press across the entire country ran headlines saying, "The emperor is dead." He was the only emperor the United States has ever had. Now, jump to the chase. There has been a totally unbroken lineage of emperors, of which I stand in as the 4th iteration. So basically, the emperor continues on to this very day, and at this point, we're still attempting to call the San Francisco Bay Bridge the Emperor Joshua Abraham Norton Bridge, which is appropriate.
We are going to give some history to our PBCs today because it's important that they learn something about the organization in which they are going to be taken. Their sponsor may have told them a little bit about what a clamper is, but Clampus Vitus is the oldest historical organization, oldest fraternal organization known to man, because Adam was a clamper. And so we're going to explain how Clampus Vitus got from Adam being a clamper to the Roman emperors into China, and then brought to the United States up through Ephraim B. in Virginia in the 1800s, come across the plains with the covered wagons when gold was discovered in California, up into Nevada when the gold played out into the Comstock, up into Alaska. We know it existed in Pennsylvania in the coal mines, probably Kentucky too.
Well, it is a worldwide organization, really, and today ECV has put up more plaques than any other organization, particularly in California. So we are historians.
First and foremost historians, and also we like to help one of our charges is take care of the widows and orphans, more particularly the widows.
When I started this adventure, it was because of the date, 1915, November 6th, when in Marysville, some businessmen up there incorporated ECV for the first time. During all the interviews for this project, I happened to run into my friend Jethro, and out of the blue, I got this story. So tell me what you know about the Marysville Charter that happened on November 6, 1915.
Well, we had one of our clampers who had been one of our curators. He kept a lot of our memorabilia, and he was the curator of a museum in Nevada City, and when he passed away, one of our other ex-NGHs, he collected all his stuff, went through it, and we found the Marysville Lodge Charter. We currently have that charter. We have a very, in my opinion, historical artifact of Clampus Vitus.
And the reason I moved to Reno was my grandfather invented a slot machine, three-reel slot. And in California, there was a $500 possession fine. He owned the machine and he confiscated it. So we couldn't show it down there, so we moved to Reno. Earl Schmidt says we got to put a plaque up to your grandfather because the first slot machine was built in San Francisco called the Liberty Bell. And I went around with John Ritchie, who was Ritchie and Ritchie Real Estate, very influential in San Francisco to the different departments. And I went to the last department was the art department, and they said, okay, we'll okay it. And 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, and they say, you can't put it up. So I tell Earl, and Earl says, let's just go put it up. I said, what if we go to jail? And he says, I'll go to jail with you. That's a small compensation. But anyway, we go there, I think it was a Tuesday night, and Earl arrives with a trailer. There's about 5 Yerba members there, and they're all wearing hard hats. There's some mixing cement in buckets. And they got water in buckets, and here we are working my way. People walk by, what are we doing? We're putting up a plaque. The police drove by, and they never even stopped. So we're able to put it up. And later on, because of historical significance, it's now California Landmark 937. It's got a state designation. I don't know, 20 years since we put it up.
So it's one of those ask for forgiveness for permission.
Yeah, and it's still there. Went down last year with my son and we cleaned it.
And we usually do 1 to 2 plaques a year. One year we partnered with Wells Fargo and a few other entities, and we put up over 50 wooden plaques that showed where every stagecoach stop was from the Arlington Theater clear over to Maddie's Tavern. They're still up today, and they're very visible.
First of all, I'd like to introduce a couple of people that have been very, very instrumental. The co-owners of the Willowbrook itself, Bob, Gary. Without their great cooperation, this great event could have happened, but not quite as well. We would have had to plaque the Willowbrook someplace else. But Gary, Bob, thank you so much.
If you could start with introducing yourself.
I'm Mark
Marshall
Fade.
When you came in.
I joined in 1959.
I am ex-Sublime Noble Grand Humbug, Sid Lumner, alias Dr. Warmth.
What year were you Sublime?
I believe it is 88, 89.
Okay, my name's Lauren Wilson. I'm ex-Humbug at Sam Brandon chapter, and to my right is Doc Chandler. He's an ex-Humbug of Yerba Buena chapter.
Dave Holmes, ex-Sublime Noble Grand Humbug, 2005. And Tim Spencer was my sponsor into Clampers. I was just 21.
I'm Robbie Robinson, ex-NGH of Umpqua Joe, Chapter 1859, Oregon's first and only.
I'm Rick Saber, came in 1981 into the Order of Clampus Vitus. My sponsor was Dan Carnegie, who established the Doc Maynard chapter, which is all of Washington itself.
My name is Chris Brewer. I came in 1978. I'm known as the professor.
Who was your sponsor?
Sharky Denman, and he was number 17.
Humbug 17. You were Humbug for Peter LeBeck?
I was Humbug for Peter LeBeck. Was number 19 in 1980.
I'm Bill Wensrich, the 2017 trash leader, and I came into ECV in 1986, LSD 3 at Forest Hill.
I am Joe Allerin, ex-Humbug of Chapter 1.5, De La Guerra, Pacheco. Been a clamper since 2001. My sponsor was Mormon Tom Smith.
All right, my name is Carlos Mora.
I'm Scooter Trash, ex-Noble Grand Humbug, Bodie, Chapter 64.
I'm Dr. Jose Tavares.
My name is Greg Hawkins. I'm a member of ECV 1.5, De La Guerra, Pacheco, Santa Barbara. And my sponsor is Al the First, Dave Holmes, and I came in at Carissa Plains in 2006.
Hi, my name is Jim Cheatham, clamper named Jethro. I became a clamper in 1992 in the spring of, and my sponsor is James Howe, a lifelong friend of mine who came in before me, and he brought me up into Chapter 10.
How you doing? My name is Ron O.G. Ogden. They call me O.G. I'm the vice president of the Clampus Vitus, now known as the North Bay Good Old Boys Motorcycle Club. I came in October of 2007 on the heels and under the name of David Comroe and Larry Ratto.
Joe Shepard, Harry Potter.
My name is Paul Renner. I'm ex-Noble Grand Humbug of Billy Holcomb chapter. I came into the chapter in October of 1998.
I was an airline pilot for 35 years, and before that a Navy pilot, and I think I represent probably the great diversity that we have. We have members that are everything from hod carrier to nuclear scientists, and every one of us are members of equal dignity. None of us ever take ourselves terribly seriously. The bottom line is a sense of humor, a cast iron stomach, and a love of California history.
I'm retired now, but I used to be in information technology working for the state of California.
I retired from the San Rafael Fire Department.
I'm a metal stud framer.
And I was a music professor for some years and an optician for the rest of the years. I am now retired.
But I teach in the sociology department at Long Beach State.
I was a professor of economics at Cal State Pomona. I was there from 1967 to 2000.
Teacher up in San Francisco, just having a good time here out at the Howell this year again, yeah.
I ran the Liberty Bell restaurant with my brother in Reno.
And I'm a high school teacher at Mary Star of the Sea High School in San Pedro, California.
I am a maintenance engineer for Kaiser Hospital currently.
I'm in my 31st year as a motor officer for the California Highway Patrol, working in South Central Los Angeles.
I work for the Postal Service, and I'm about to leave that operation
before he goes postal.
Before I completely go postal.
Retired from California Highway Patrol.
So I worked at Caesar's Palace for several years, played every big name event that came through. Eventually went to work for Paul Anka, and I was his bass trombone player for years. So
I worked at Raytheon for 33 years.
Some of the things that we, have done involved in the community. We've done a cemetery reclamation. One of our members is big into the Civil War, and actually researched some veterans who were buried in Santa Barbara in a long forgotten cemetery, the Cieneguitas Cemetery, and the VA Veterans Affairs will provide a headstone for any veteran. And so we were able to install, I think, around 20 headstones, and we completely cleaned up this forgotten cemetery and created a monument there that's a lasting monument.
With these fires have been raging up in the foothills and up in Lake County, we've been collecting some money and doing some cooking this past week or so, the different chapters and different clampers. So we're a good, fun organization, but we do have a serious side. And
hey man, we started out to do Camp Camarado. That was to rebuild our brothers' bikes and raise money in their name. It's then jumped into us helping the veterans. We've rebuilt homes. We've been involved with Rebuilding Together. We've really jumped into the community. We've done cancer funds. We've done an annual vets run at the Memorial Building to raise thousands and thousands of dollars for vets. And it's pretty much the most successful run around here. In addition to that, recently we had the Valley Fires, and we jumped on board and we cooked over 1,000 people a meal last Thursday with us and a couple of our friends. And it's a beautiful thing. And then we surprised a little 5-year-old kid with a birthday party. And we brought him a monster truck and kind of pretty much made his childhood at this point. He's going to get to go on some rides and stuff. It's really cool.
Clampus Vitus, I think, is incredibly important for the preservation of local history, and also in fellowship with our fellow clampers.
I was briefly asked to speak about Burning Man and the fact that one year we had 17 brothers attend Burning Man. Now normally you'd go up there for pressure, to look at the ladies or whatever, and certainly we did that, but like all clamp events, we would return to our camp, have a little bit of the healing waters, a lot of the healing waters, and then fix fantastic food. Our presence up there drew people far and near to the good cooking. Every one of us wanted to share some fine victual. The other part is you're supposed to offer something to the Burning Man camp, the village of 50, 70,000 people. And what we did is we cleaned women's feet. We had a little cleaning station, and because the ground around there was so not acidic, but the opposite of that, we tried to remove that by putting on vinegar and water sprayed onto the feet of the women to neutralize the whatever it is in the soil up there, which was creating cracked and burned skin. And then we would wash everything off and we would polish their feet, and then they would go on their way. Guys would come in, sometimes naked, dangling participles, not fun. So we would draw a line in the sand. No way were we going to do that. So we would tell them how they could clean their own darn feet. But we were a sensation on the Black Rock desert floor.
Men can be men together, and sometimes men can be boys together. And I think that's something that is lost in much of today's world. People pay huge amounts of dollars to kind of get in touch with that younger side of their personality, and here we can find it like that. It's an awesome thing. Very, very important. Plus, we get to go out and meet with our friends, and sometimes we don't see each other until there's a clamp out.
I thought you were dead.
That's what you get for thinking.
Clampus Vitus Inc. Facebook page, which is the largest Facebook page of the Clampers, which is basically supporting in 2015 43 chapters plus 4 outposts. And I like to promote all Clampus Vitus history and also other interesting history subjects.
So here you have quite the
a repository of historical documents on your Facebook page?
Yes, what I do is I like to run into old timers and ask them what do they have, what have they saved over the years and maybe in a drawer or something. And what I do is I scan them by the thousands and put them into all the different subject lines and share them everywhere.
So if somebody wanted to look at it, where do they go?
They would go to Clampus Vitus Inc.
As a great clamper friend of mine by the name of Warthog said, now you've done it. He says, now that I've done the Centennial video, I've been tasked with documenting on video ECV icons past and living. So look for me out on the trail. I'll be looking for your good stories, unique people, and new places. God bless ECV, and God bless the United States of America.